welcome to episode 40. Good God, we're here already. Of the XboxEra Podcast, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Shpeshal Ed and Figments. How are we doing, guys?
G'day.
Doing all right.
Excellent. Pretty good stuff. Now, in an effort to be more efficient with our podcasting, I'm not going to preamble any of this. What have we been playing lately, gentlemen, on our shiny new next-generation consoles, dare I ask?
Well, I mean, I'm the only one with an actual next-generation console, but what have I been playing?
So,
what have I been playing? I started playing Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity on Switch, which is really good.
Yep.
that's not an next console.
No, I know. Oh, technically, it was the first next-gen console. Technically.
No.
Technically.
It's the first Gen 9 console.
Maybe if you're pedantic about it. But
I don't think Nintendo take part in generations as we view them. Just saying.
Yeah, okay.
They're completely outside the cycle at this point.
What else? And I started, in terms of new stuff, I started Days Gone on PS5 because it runs at 4K 60, and I've never played it before, so
nice.
I started that.
I've heard it's kind of run-of-the-mill, but it has its charms, effectively.
Well, I mean, I played a demo of it like 2 years ago at PAX Australia, and I thought it felt pretty solid back then. Never bought it.
Yeah.
And now it's part of that PS Plus collection, which could be potentially a whole other discussion, but started that, and yeah, I mean, it's okay. I can tell that I'm in for quite a slog. Like,
open world
you can
slog.
already tell it's one of those padded out, have heaps of stuff to do, looks nice. It's nice playing it at 4K 60 because apparently it's not even close to that on the PS4 Pro. But yeah, it's okay. They're the two main new things that I've been playing aside from the normal stuff that I usually play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you, Figments? Anything fun?
So me and my friends have been gearing up for the Deepstone Crypt Raid in Destiny 2. This is the last weekend to get it done before the reset on Tuesday. And the reason why I say the last weekend to get it done isn't because it's going to go away, but because Bungie has said that if you beat the raid by December 1st at reset, you get a token that allows you to buy a really, really cool looking jacket. Like, really cool looking.
Okay.
So we've been doing a lot of grinding to get ready. Thankfully, the raid requirements this go around are actually fairly reasonable. For those in the know, it's about 1220 light level, which is not that difficult. Soft cap is 1200, and the grind to 20 more points is like 2 days. So 2 days of like 6 hours playing each day. That's not bad. But beyond that, on my shiny new Xbox, a lot of Tetris.
It's so zen.
Effect is good.
It's so
Tetris
zen.
Effect is amazing.
It's so good.
like relaxing. Okay, I'm not gonna say it's relaxing because it makes me angry when I fail.
But it is relaxing though.
I'm the type of person who, like, if I'm trying to beat a level quickly, I have a very specific strategy of, lining up the common strategy of making sure every row is clear and then putting in the straight line in one slot and clearing 4 rows at the same time, right?
That's
if
called
I
a Tetris.
mess up, if I mess up those straight lines, and I do very, very much, I start stacking all the blocks until I get a fail state and restart, because there's no restart button if you pause the game. So
It's usually pretty easy to fix, though.
Usually, and I try recovering. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I get very easily frustrated when all of a sudden I misclick and the block goes down in a way that creates a gap in one of the lines.
First world problems right here, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm just so angry at myself for messing it up like that. But Tetris, Destiny 2, And that's pretty much. Oh, I bought Hunt Showdown in the sale.
Oh, it's
the Black Friday sale.
Really good fun.
And
with friends, really good fun.
Really good fun. But
that.
the problem with the game is it's so difficult to get into.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many moving parts you have to be aware of. There's so much, like, just minute strategy with how you're supposed to engage each individual match, and like counterplay with other hunters, making sure you can get to the extraction point in a way that makes that saves time and kind of loops around and tricks people into thinking you're going somewhere else. And just, oh my, it's hard. It's really hard as a new player getting into that.
It's also, I love the horror elements of it. I think that it's so well done. Like, you feel dirty after you've played. You feel like you've wallowed through crap. It's good. It's very well made and very pretty.
It's a very good game, very pretty game. I'm hoping for a Series X patch because I think it only runs at 30 FPS on console.
It's not great performance-wise.
And I would like to see an upgrade in the frame rate and maybe the textures, because there's a lot of pop-in that I noticed. Yeah, at least in the distance.
It's rough. I played it in early access, I think, on PC several times. I haven't tried the console version, but the early access version was also pretty rough, but gorgeous at certain points. I mean, I've been playing.
Yeah, that's what I've been playing.
I've been playing an absolute boatload of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I think by the time we recorded today, I think Proven dropped his review. I think he was probably a little bit more positive on it than I am. And don't get me wrong, it's really good. But it's been a while since probably Black Flag that an Assassin's Creed has made me spend anything in the amount of time that I am spending on that game. Like, I've been playing for, I think I've got about 60 hours or something sunk into it at the moment, which is nuts for me, and I've barely scratched the surface. Having said that, when you play something for that amount of time, there are things that start to annoy. But it's still keeping me going, and there was a story moment earlier where I was genuinely surprised at the twist. I won't spoil it. And I was actually a little bit angry when it gave me a choice, which obviously is affecting the story. I was annoyed. I was annoyed at what had happened and exacted very brutal revenge. And it felt good.
Oh, I see.
And I've also been playing, and the reason I look so absolutely dead on my feet today is I played Sea of Thieves on console until 4 a.m. last night. And it's, so I might have mentioned this last episode, next weekend my gaming friends and I were having a virtual LAN party, right? So we normally all get together, the big group of us, every year at a minimum. There's often smaller get-togethers throughout, but the big one at least once a year, be it for renting boats or going paintballing or just LAN parties in general. But because we can't do it this year, we're going to do a virtual LAN where we tell our significant others, take the children and go, I am playing video games, leave me. We're looking forward to it, but my best friend came down a couple of nights ago to fix a leak in some pipework at my younger brother's house, and I said to him, well, look, so you can play all the console games on a decent console and not the OG Xbox One from 2013, borrow my Series S and take it home. So for the first time last night, we got to play Sea of Thieves, and we got to turn on we only want to be matched with other people on console with pads, because we encountered, as we got into the early hours, we encountered a lot of very, very effective mouse and keyboard players, which is never fun if you're not able to keep up with them. And
in any game.
It was horrible. But last night, it was just, I think we killed everyone on the server 3 times to the point where the game said, yep, we're going to swap you to a new server because you've murdered everyone and they've all left. And on the last go round, we'd done all these challenges for this Halloween event, so we'd unlocked the cool armor costumes and everything, and we were about to call it a night, and we noticed that the Fort of the Damned goes up, And we're like, oh, we've got nothing to lose. Let's just go check it out. And we rock up, and there's a sloop doing it, and they're on the final round. So we come along, we gank them, and we kill the guy. Well, we nearly killed the guy. We've nearly killed the guy, and they managed to make it back. And there's this big fight. We're on the island trying to take him out. The captain's sailing the boat around trying to avoid the sloop. Then 3 other sloops come. So we've got 4 sloops versus us on a briggy. We kill the guy. We managed to nab the key. And because we didn't want to... It was 3:30 at this point. I wanted to be in bed. And we didn't have any cannon. We couldn't fight them. We knew we would lose. So we did the ultimate dick move. We just sailed off the map with the key, effectively just saying, screw your hard work, you're not having anything. And man, the hate messages I was getting on Xbox Live. It's been so long since I've had hate messages, but it was literally the lamest thing to do, and we did it. We totally were like, nope, we're taking our ball or your ball and we're going home. And it was just sit there on the map, and they couldn't get to it, and we were watching them try and swim out, and you get teleported back to the island. It was so funny. So yeah, that's what I played. There you go. My bi-weekly Sea of Thieves story.
I actually wanted to talk about how, small tangent, but isn't the difference between controller and keyboard and mouse in Sea of Thieves, I feel like it's way more pronounced in the way it feels compared to other games with crossplay enabled like that. I don't know why. It just feels more janky on a controller than it does with a keyboard and mouse.
Yes. It does.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of auto aim on pad in Sea of Thieves.
Yeah. It doesn't feel as natural, I guess. It feels very stilted. I hope they fix that. That's my number one issue of playing with the controller, honestly.
Well, I think for me, it's a pad game. It's very much a kick back and relax. It's not to disparage anyone that wants to play mouse and keyboard, but the skill gap is wide if you get into a fight. There is nothing worse than watching a pirate bunny hopping like a madman and one-shotting you with a pistol and a sniper rifle while you're just on a pad trying to turn fast enough to maybe get a slice. It's agonizing, and it just makes you want to quit. So I do hope they do something about that. But yeah, that was my weekend.
There was big news this week.
I was going to say, there's something this isn't something I've been playing, but it's something I've been playing with. Some may have noticed that when watching that I'm wearing my, I bought a set of Major Nelson gloves, and I use these because something that my family and friends know about me is that I'm a very OCD clean freak. And I take apart my consoles, I take apart my controllers and clean them the whole shebang. And I really am getting tired of cleaning my controllers. So I've just bought these, and I now play with these.
The mental imagery of this is
I'm aware of how weird it is. My niece was over yesterday for my son's birthday party, and she saw that I wear these gloves when I play games, and she just started laughing.
Yeah.
She's 10.
I couldn't do it. I need that feel of finger on plastic and rubber. Giggity.
I just like that it keeps my controllers fresh and clean.
I've got very clean hands, so my controllers are never dirty.
So do I.
Honestly, I wish I would have worn gloves when I took my Series X out of its box, because the moment my hands touch that dang monolith, you can see the grease stains. And it's just,
I wonder what the material is that they make the X out of. I don't have one, so
I made sure, double sure, clean my hands, wash them as best I can before opening that box. Ever since we got told, oh, it's a grease magnet. Well, crap. My hands are naturally just greasy as hell. So I tried doing everything I could to keep it clean. There's still grease spots on that thing.
Like it's a matte finish, but it must be a very weird material that they use.
Yeah, it's just, I don't get it. Like, I love the matte design, but I hate how much it traps grease and fingerprints so easily.
Yeah, I have to admit, I found that with another device today, and I may as well get this tangent out of the way before we get into other things. See, do you see the fingerprints on that? I've barely touched it. Right?
Yeah, look at that.
But and that's me trying to clean
the laptop that you won randomly
I can definitely confirm it was random.
I know. I messaged Thomas.
I felt almost a little bad that I won it. I was like shocked.
Yeah, I said to Thomas, I go, that was really nice of you to give that laptop to John.
I think he was just as surprised, to be honest with you. He goes,
I swear I had nothing to do with it.
It's weird. I saw there was a competition and I was like, oh, do you know what? Why not? I never enter stuff. I never enter competitions because I don't have much luck. And it was utilising Gleam, which I want to start using when we're big enough to run some of our competitions, because it tracks everything and monitors it all for you, as opposed to the way I currently do it, which is kind of collect everything and then pick at random. It does it all for you, automated, but it also allows you to track what people are doing to earn entries. So when I entered the competition, it was like do this and follow here and click here and subscribe here. So I just went to did most of them and that was it. And I didn't know I'd won, but I suspected that I might have, because I got followed by one of the guys from Wired Productions, like the director or the head of it. I saw the notification, like he started following me. I was like, nah, and then obviously I saw the tweet and I freaked out. And yeah, it's really very cool. Very cool. 4K OLED screen as well.
Wow.
On a laptop,
And you get to play it with your physical copy of Falconeer.
There is one amusing element of this in that they did send me a physical copy of the Falconeer for a laptop with no disk drive. The irony was not lost.
You get to play your physical copy of Falconeer on a 3-hour battery life.
Why don't you make one of those videos? Like, was it Mega 64 that made that video saying the PS5 can't play physical games? And he bought a digital PS5 and he was trying to stick his disc in it, and he full on smashed his PS5 apart trying to get this disc in, filled it with all these different lubes and stuff to try and thinking that the disc wouldn't go in, and he absolutely tore his PS5 apart and then tried to return it to EB saying this thing doesn't work, it can't play my games and stuff. And I was like, it's actually a pretty funny video.
Christ, imagine having that much money to just make a funny video.
Yeah, I know. It was pretty funny, though.
I'm jealous.
But anyway, big news happened this past week and a half. The Game Awards announced their nominees. Every category. Let's see. Let's go through the biggest one here. Game of the Year. Hang on, let me bring it up. I'm pulling it up on my phone right now. So, Game of the Year nominees were Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing: New Horizons, and The Last of Us Part 2. I think we're going to guarantee that Last of Us Part 2 is going to win that. Any objections?
No, I think Animal Crossing's a shot.
I think Animal Crossing has a chance. Yeah, it's been a cultural milestone. I would love it.
It depends how much Jeff decides to use his influence over the result.
I don't think. I mean, he's protested. He doesn't have any, but. I saw an amusing YouTube video where someone had cut Jeff Keighley nominating or talking through all the nominations, but it was basically it started off and it was like The Last of Us 2, and then it started getting into silly categories like best E3 coach, esports team coach, The Last of Us Part 2, and everything was
I know, and that's why it's there's no.
Isn't he buddy with Neil Druckmann or something?
I imagine everyone.
I don't know.
This industry, I am learning more and more, is small. I mean, it's not in terms
very
of
small
developers,
and very connected. The people who are in the know are in the know. Yeah. They know everyone else, and everyone else knows them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a very different industry.
I already had my suspicions about the Game Awards, but not seeing Ori nominated for Game of the Year just confirmed those suspicions.
It's shocking. I mean, Ori
it's pretty hard to take seriously.
Was one of the best games of the year, without shadow of a doubt. And look,
dumb.
I think this is, we're touching on something here that is perhaps a nuance of gaming at the moment, and that is the third person narrative adventure game, right? For the
Slow
majority, that is the game people want. It doesn't matter about like Hades.
See, I don't agree.
I
don't agree. Everyone keeps saying that, and I do not agree. It is not the game people want. It's the game people want to talk about. Because if you look at the sales, it's actually not the game people want. All the games as a service stuff makes more money, sells more, gets played more. It's the game that people want to talk about. Same way, the movies that win Oscars, no one watches them. But they're the ones that people want to talk about.
Yeah.
But no one actually watches The English Patient.
Yeah.
Yet it won the Oscar. Like, that's the thing. It's a myth. They're not the games that people want. They're just the games that people want to talk about. There's a difference.
It's award shows like Ed said, they're essentially just propping up conversation pieces. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I've had really mixed feelings about Last of Us even getting nominated as a game of the year. Like, I knew it was. Everyone knew it was going to be nominated. And the chance it's going to win like 50 different categories is pretty high. So best esports title.
It'll probably win best racing game too.
Yeah, that was in the YouTube video. Best racing game.
Best racing game.
Best platformer.
Best puzzle game. Best children's game.
Anyway, and I talked about this in the XboxEra Discord, and I really feel like you guys don't want to hear me rant about this yet again. You're going to
talk about
it.
Employee overworking and crunch, right?
It's not just not that. I was going to talk specifically about the story of the game and how I feel that the message it sends isn't appropriate for giving recognition to. And there was a whole debate there was obviously issues with the crunch issues and the fact that even from that standard, it probably shouldn't have been nominated simply due to the fact that, like, these people were overworked and underpaid to make this game. That is a fact. Yeah,
but we know that for most of the games that were nominated.
Yeah.
We just didn't hear about it. We just didn't hear about it.
That is very fair. That is very fair. That is true. At the same time, there's still a question of should we even award those games either, you know?
But then you're not going to be awarding many games, man.
Just give it to Animal Crossing. I'm pretty sure no one crunched to make Animal Crossing. Anyway. Who knows? We will never know.
Guess what? Cyberpunk and Halo are probably getting nominated next year.
Yeah, I don't think Halo will get nominated.
Anyway, my main issue with the whole thing is, and I went into a whole rant about this on the XboxEra Discord, but that the whole murder simulator aspect of the story in Last of Us Part 2, how the implications of, without law and order, everyone is just kind of an asshole. I don't really think that's an attitude anyone should be uplifting, regardless of the quality of the game. And I think it's important that people understand that while the game might be great, and from everything I've seen of its gameplay, most people agree that the gameplay is great. The story doesn't... I don't think we should award the kind of outlook that story presents to people. Especially in a year like 2020.
That's a bit too cynical for my taste.
I don't know. I think any medium can touch on any subject matter, and if it's done...
It's not just that.
If it's done it's worthy of recognition.
That, right? It's not that I'm trying to say, because this particular take I don't agree with, I don't want to see it elevated. I think it's a dangerous take to have. And especially in a year right now where people have been proving time and time again that it's just not the kind of thing that really happens in real life, you know? It's just...
I don't know.
I tell you what,
I think luckily for me, I don't...
cynical viewpoints should be our goal.
Nah.
Is my thing.
Luckily for me, I don't care about story in games. So I've started Days Gone, and I've been skipping all the cutscenes. And my mate that was over the other day was watching me play it, and he's like, okay, because he loves Days Gone, and he's like, okay, in this part of the game, you're supposed to be getting this. They explained that in the cutscene, but you skipped it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Honestly,
I skip all the cutscenes
Well,
in games.
I don't know how familiar you two are with this term, but Last of Us is very much a doomer kind of game. For those not familiar with the term doomer, it is a very radical, and I mean, like, I'm pretty left wing, but this is like end of the world, everyone is awful, we should just remake everything from scratch again. Left wing ideology is what a doomer ideology is. And this whole, like, The Last of Us is just that. It's a perpetuation of just such a cynical outlook on the world that I just don't think it should be given praise for that.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I think anything can be touched on, but I think you guys have touched on something interesting, and it reminded me of a... Do you remember the whole Tomb Raider thing where she became the Tomb Raider in the 2013 reboot?
Yeah.
And there was the moment where she murdered like one person, was like, oh, what have I done? And then proceeded to kill like thousands.
Like thousands.
Right?
Yeah.
And obviously there is a massive disconnect between how a character is represented in a narrative versus, trying to make a fun game.
Right. And
people just can gloss over that, I think. But I had an amusing moment where, again, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I'm a Viking, right? Vikings, gonna cut and chop people up quite a bit. And there's this mission, and there's no spoilers here. It's just an average open world mission. Go to village, burn huts, kill the big chief dude there, ransack the village, to bring a king back to the table for peace talks, right? By eliminating his supplies and stuff like that. And we did this with a character who is a bit of a softer soul, I think, is probably the best way I can put it. He's competent in battle, but he's more learned, and he'd rather find a way via negotiation or diplomacy than outright killing. And afterwards, we've literally 2 seconds before this conversation happened, I watched him behead someone and then beat their skull to a pulp in game.
Jesus
and then he
Christ.
went, I feel like maybe a walk in the woods with some fresh air, or maybe a spot of fishing. So we're sitting in the same village we've literally razed to the ground, like the fog of the fires is still in the air, and he's like, catch some eels, we'll make a hearty soup. And I'm like, okay, I get where you're going here, video game, but no,
that's why
it doesn't.
That's why I don't care about story in games.
It cracks me up.
For me, the only place where story in games belongs is in your Telltale visual novel. Seriously, just get story out of your action games. It's dumb. It's just there's too many juxtapositions. There's too many oxymorons. Just don't bother with it, man.
Nah,
just let me shoot shit.
I wouldn't say not bother with it. I would not. I wouldn't. Yeah, I would kind of. I'm on John's side here. I wouldn't say get rid of story in your action games, but when you go out of your way to acknowledge that what you're doing is pretty fucked up. Pardon my language. I guess we screwed that up. I screwed that up. Anyway, if you're going out of your way to acknowledge what your characters are doing is pretty messed up, don't then just turn around and keep going like nothing happened. That moment of self-reflection doesn't matter because the next second you're killing 100 people and they're not even breaking a sweat. It's just
look. I think
don't throw pittance at people for understanding that the context of that the game's providing is one that it doesn't really have a good justification for it. And then just pretend that whole introspective moment never happened, because that's exactly what the gameplay is telling players, is that it doesn't matter.
I think story in games is valuable and can be occasionally brilliant, right? And Nick, for all your cutscene skipping, and I get it, even in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I can read faster than I'll hear them play it out, right? So I'll have subtitles on, and I do this for any game that allows me to do it. If it lets me skip, I read and I'll get the plot, right? I don't need to hear it acted out. Unless it's a particularly engaging scene, yeah. However, I think story in games is something, when it tries to be a movie that I occasionally get to play,
God,
then it sucks. When it embraces the medium of interactivity that games are, and I don't mean quick time events and naff stuff like that. I mean when it looks at what a game is and turns it on its head. And some examples I will throw out is obviously the very, very famous Would You Kindly? Like, if you were paying attention in that game,
the greatest thing ever.
That moment was jaw-dropping. It was put your pad down. Again, Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. Story-driven, but delivers the story and the emotion
through the
of it
game.
Through gameplay.
That's right.
What's the other one I'm thinking of that's always been a big favourite of mine?
Well, I mean, Halo did it mostly through the game. Like,
Halo
Halo's
does it very well.
were very short.
Yep.
Most of the story was being delivered through Cortana, just constantly talking to you.
So that is I think that's my problem, and I think that is maybe I'm old and grumpy, right? But it seems to me that people value playing a story more than being challenged. But then you look at stuff like Dark Souls, and you're like, that's pure gameplay, that's pure challenge. The lore is secondary.
That's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing I saw earlier when I mentioned in the Discord that I was reiterating. I knew I was reiterating a point that many people had already said, that like Bungie doesn't understand why their games are good. Their fans do, but Bungie never does. And that's more obvious than ever now in retrospect, that we have Destiny to look at as a very mishandled IP in terms of balancing what the players have told Bungie they want versus what Bungie thinks the players want. So someone had said that Miyazaki gets it. Miyazaki is the only game developer that gets how important it is for the story to bleed through the game and for the game to bleed through the story. Miyazaki is, and I believe they were referencing the lead creative developer at From Software on the Dark Souls series. Mm-hmm. And absolutely 100%, Dark Souls is one of the few franchises that gets it.
Yeah.
That really understands that connection between the player, the game, and the story they're trying to make. Bloodborne too. At almost everything Miyazaki and his team has touched has understood that fundamental concept that I think people at Naughty Dog even miss.
Yeah.
The amount of anger I was getting for seeing threads on Reset recently about how, oh, wow, Naughty Dog finally did it. They made me forget I was playing a video game. I'm like, do you really want to forget that?
Yeah, and that's...
Like, it's not the point of playing games, not to play games. Yeah. Why would you want to just play a movie? Yeah. I don't want to play a movie.
And that's what I don't get.
That's the other one that just popped into my brain. That moment in the very first Arkham Batman game. With
I didn't play that.
With is it Scarecrow?
Asylum.
Yeah. Where the console looks like it's freaked out and shut down, and you're like, "Yo, you freak from him? Is my box broken?" And then you realize the game is using its medium to. Yeah, and that's where games.
That's more of a
amazing.
fourth wall thing, like what Metal Gear Solid did back in the day.
Yeah, it is, but those are the things that we should be leaning into, or we.
Oh, that's right. To me, Would You Kindly will forever be the tippity top of that whole story. And again, look at BioShock. How did BioShock do it? You had that guy talking to you over the PA the whole time. You had the audio logs spread around the place. It did it through the game.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only way to do it. Like, Days Gone now, it's just your typical Sony game. I slow walk and talk for like 15 meters, cutscene. Then I get to slow walk and talk again for another 20 meters, cutscene. I'm like, yeah, come on, just let me go and do stuff, please.
Like, going back to like Dark Souls, like the entire story is told through tooltips on the items you get, through the architecture of the locations you're going through the monsters and the enemies you fight. You know, like
Metroid Prime does it pretty well too.
So like, I would rather game developers understand that fundamental idea that you are making a game. You're not making a movie. Don't make me sit there and watch this drawn out crap that you just want to get a free Oscar for. Go make a movie if you want to make a movie. Don't make a game into a movie, for God's sakes. Use the medium, you know? So, in relation to The Last of Us and the whole Game Awards thing, I think
Hades or Animal Crossing.
Whatever story. Hades and Animal Crossing, definitely. Those are great games.
Hades has no chance, but Animal Crossing.
I hope Animal Crossing at least wins. I don't want to see The Last of Us win, for the love of God. I really don't. And I'm gonna get a lot of people DMing me on Twitter, probably saying, "Oh, you just hate Naughty Dog and Sony. Why don't you just shut the hell up?"
I don't think it's that. I think it's about the more those types of games win, then the more you're encouraging developers to go down that path.
Yeah,
and it's like
chasing the almighty dollar.
Animal Crossing winning is a win for games winning, not interactive movies.
My wife will be very happy if Animal Crossing wins.
It's also okay. So that's a good point that I actually didn't even think of before. It's not just that the story of Last of Us Part 2 is cynical. It's that it's cynical not only because of what the story is trying to tell you about, but also because it's so detached from being a game that it just fails to understand that basic principle.
Oh, Doom Eternal.
Yeah, you're right
as well.
Doom Eternal would be great. Doom really understands. Doom understands how to get out of your way and let you play the damn game.
Speaking
of
Animal
Crossing was almost a cultural event.
Yeah, and the whole Gary Whitta talk show thing.
Yeah, it should win on that alone. I don't know.
Speaking of games in general, another interesting piece of news that has done the rounds this week, and you might have seen some stuff on it, was RetroArch, which is, for those that don't know, a software emulator, is available.
I want to clarify there. RetroArch is not itself an emulator. It is a collection of emulators.
Fair point.
You add the cores to it.
You add your cores. Yeah. So apologies. Thank you, Figments. But effectively, what it does mean is that the Xbox Series S and Series X right now are...
And the Xbox One as well.
It hasn't got as much CPU grunt to power through some of the more challenging titles, but you can play anything for...
Pretty much.
NES, SNES, N64, GameCube,
PlayStation 2.
People have been playing the original God of War on a Series S, and it runs flawlessly.
It's impressive.
Looks great, sounds great, runs great. I'm waiting to see people start loading up Dolphin, the Wii and GameCube emulator, throwing Brawl, Melee, Project M.
Gotta wonder how long it's going to take until that's all shut down and Microsoft pulls the plug on being allowed to download it.
I would love to see it. I mean, I've already got it downloaded, so I'm pretty much trying to find my old Wii and GameCube games to rip the ISOs off of, because I have like a USB. I have what you need, Nick, John, for your disc copy of Falconeer, a USB disc drive. So. I'm trying to find my old discs so I could rip the
I have my GameCube and Wii games.
Console. Also, I want to say this for a second. No one at XboxEra condones software piracy in any form. I am getting the ISOs from games I own that I have discs for. Don't ever pirate anything. If you own the game, get a dump or get an ISO extract from that disc.
I think
you
people
own.
that have very large physical collections, in my opinion, and this is an opinion, are well within their rights to create digital copies or obtain digital copies of stuff they own, if only for preservation, right? It means you can keep your disc safe and unused, but also enables you to, in some ways, play everything in one place. Very, very cool.
We as a group collectively do not endorse piracy in any form. I want that to be made clear.
Very true.
But just getting to go back, like I'm trying to find my old copy of Persona 3 Portable on the mini UMD discs from the PSP. and get an ISO off so I can play it on my Xbox.
That's mad. It's mad that technology allows us to do this kind of stuff.
I wish I owned the original disc for Persona 4 because I only bought it digitally on the PS3. Oh. But if I had the disc for Persona 4, I would get. Imagine that, dude. The Xbox plays PS2 games in a world where PS5 can't.
It would be a very, very weird world we live in. But should you have a large collection of games and you want to go and explore that, just give it a Google. I don't know how long it will be live and available for, and I fully expect someone to pull the plug on that. And I think unless you get whitelisted to download it on a retail Xbox, you have to
go through dev
mode, which is a one-time license fee of £20 or dollars or whatever your currency is. What else has hit the news this week?
Well, I was going to say, since we were talking about the Game Awards, so Jeff Grubb sort of hinted that maybe we might be getting Forza Horizon 5 before Motorsport, which I personally doubt.
Yeah, I mean, isn't Turn 10 working on for the next platform for Forza?
I don't know.
They've been working on it for a while, haven't they?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's why I find it a little bit hard to believe that we get Horizon before Motorsport. But I mean, well, who knows? Could we get it shown at the Game Awards if that's the case?
Well, typically, let's look at previous occurrences of Forza Horizon, right? Playground Games normally show it off at the E3 before release in September, so it gets shown off in May and it releases in September, and that's your hype cycle. It's one and done.
Yeah.
Now, I fully expect whatever Forza Horizon this is to be a cross-gen title, right? I fully expect it to be. I think that team...
Yeah.
I would say it wouldn't be surprising, but I think there is a chance that Playground could say this is next-gen exclusive. There is a chance. It is not a non-zero chance.
Forza Horizon...
It is not a zero chance.
Forza Horizon is probably literally the one game Xbox has had this generation that is not only a critical success, but a genuine commercial success.
Yeah, it's a very popular series.
And it can already run at 60 even on
the One X.
So,
which is a testament to how well Playground has made those tools.
Yeah,
that's right, and it looks great even on base Xbox One.
Yeah,
it looks great.
And their 30 FPS implementation is very smooth as well.
Yeah, it's very smooth, like Spider-Man is. It's it's one of the rare smooth 30s, genuinely smooth.
Yeah.
So yeah, if Forza Horizon 5 exists now and is coming before Motorsport, then I'm guessing it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's Game Awards with a release in March or April.
No, because I just don't see it. It's a September game, 100%, and I do expect it this September. I expect it before Fable, 100%. But
Horizon 5 or Motorsport?
Well, that's the thing. Motorsport being behind somewhat suggests and I'm not sure how this is going to play out. Do they just hold Forza Horizon 5 for a while and save it for 2022? But normally that team is every 2 years. It's every 2 years.
When did Horizon 4 come out?
2019. So and they have been on the ball. They're every 2 years with their games. You had Forza Horizon 2. When was that? I want to say 2014. Then you had Forza Horizon 3 Australia, 2017. Then you had Forza Horizon...
the best one.
4 Britain, obviously the best one, in 2019. So I fully expect Forza Horizon 5 in 2021. That team knows what it's doing. However...
because that would be 3 years.
However, I also think that they know that by Forza Horizon 4, they had... in my opinion at least, I agree with you in some ways, Nick, in that Australia was a more interesting location. Forza Horizon 4 was pushing the limit in terms of load times. It had the seasons were cool, but it also felt like it had run out of some ideas. It felt like it was right up. It had evolved everything, not everything for the better, but it had hit a new bar, definitely.
To me, it had become too Ubisoft.
And now I'm like, where do you go from here? Like,
yeah.
and
To me,
that's where I think maybe they will take
I say
an extra
Australia,
year.
but that's just me being biased. I was just saying Australia's the best location. My favorite Forza Horizon game is the original, the first one. It's my favorite Forza Horizon because it's focused. It's a lot tighter.
It had
it's
a direction.
Not bloated. Yeah, it's not as bloated, and the way it distributed the activities was done better than all the other Forza Horizons. I just like how much more focused the first one is personally. And when you play it on the One X, it looks like a Gen 8 game when you play it on the One X.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
It's
honestly
interesting.
I think if they do a Forza Horizon 5 and it does release soon, it'll probably be more like a live service game like Forza Horizon 4 was, simply because
they won't strip it back. I'd love for them to, but they won't.
I honestly think I don't think they should come out with one next year. I think they should put a hold on that for a little bit.
Yeah. Would they really do?
Because the number
games
one
in 2021.
Because the number one
That's the
complaint
question.
that a lot of reviews have pointed out and a lot of people have pointed out post-launch of Forza Horizon 4 was that the game is pretty, the game runs beautifully, but after like 10 races, it's basically the same game for the next however many hours you play. It doesn't ever feel like it's going anywhere. It's just, here's
The
your
Lego
car.
stuff was cool though.
Yeah.
The
The
Lego
Lego
stuff
and
was
the
cool. The
Hot
Hot
Wheels
Wheels stuff was better.
The Hot Wheels was unreal.
The
That
Hot
was
Wheels
so
was
good. The Hot
amazing.
Wheels.
My kids loved
Yeah.
that. It was so good.
But
That
that's the
was-
thing, right? Is why put all the cool stuff in the DLC, for God's sakes? Just put it in the main game. Just
Well,
make a cool main game.
I think that they've hit a lot of commercial success with the way that they've done their DLCs. I don't know. I think that the bigger question here is, if Forza Motorsport Next, whatever that form that's going to take, and let's be honest, it's going to be a live service, life of the console style attempt at Forza. Where does Forza Horizon 5 fit in that world? And more to the point, are they really going to release a Forza Motorsport and a Forza Horizon in the same year?
Horizon in the same year?
I don't think so. So either
Yeah.
we're going to get Forza Horizon 5 because that team is good, it's done, it's ready, and it can do it, and it's ticked its boxes, and that's what we get in 2021 as our racing genre from Microsoft, and then
And Motorsport gets delayed.
Motorsport gets to come out in 2022 as a next-gen exclusive, because that is a next-gen exclusive. I still expect Horizon to be a cross-gen, 100%.
Yeah.
But
It
we'll
will.
see. We'll see. Quote me on it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I just think if we see it, maybe we see it at the Game Awards. Who knows?
I think we'll see something from Microsoft at the Game Awards, but I don't think it'll be Forza. I think it will be. Well, we've talked about what I think it will be, right? Last episode. It's in the community questions. Let's wait till then.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Speaking of delayed stuff, Crossfire X got delayed
Yep, that got delayed too.
next year.
Expected.
Everything's been delayed, man. I think I'm
Yeah.
very curious to see what pipelines look like because COVID's weird. And
Even if it wasn't COVID, I honestly feel like Crossfire X would have been delayed because we haven't even seen a lick of it.
anything. Yeah, we've seen nothing.
It would have been delayed regardless of the year. Like, there's no way.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the beta was particularly interesting as well. So
It ran awful on my
wasn't
One
good.
X when I had it.
it
Was really poor.
Okay.
Speaking of things that kind of were a bit late out of the gate, the Assassin's Creed Valhalla patch drama. Let's talk about that,
Continues.
shall
That's a never-ending saga, isn't it?
we? Blimey, there are some salty people out there.
Hey, at least Microsoft's getting their marketing money's worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you, in case you've been living under a rock, because if you listen to this podcast, the chances are this drama has reared its head somewhere in your social media bubble. Microsoft obviously got the marketing for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. The game came out. Digital Foundry did their comparison, and the PlayStation 5, the weaker next-gen console, was running it better.
A bit better.
A little bit better. Not there wasn't a lot in it,
better.
but it was a bit better. And indeed, Valhalla prior to the patch that got released this week, had some really obnoxious tearing. Unfortunately, the developers, when they patched it this week, they also patched the PlayStation 5 version and introduced a new bug with some shocking dips down into the 40s of their 60 FPS mode.
And screen tearing.
And yeah, let's be honest, fanboys on both camps just need to chill the hell out. These are patches. It's clearly an error. The PlayStation 5 bit will be fixed. The Xbox bit will be improved. They're both going to run fine. I saw people returning copies on their Xbox to play it on their PlayStation for I don't know what reason.
For some frame dips they didn't notice until Digital Foundry pointed them out.
Until someone else points them out. And oh man, God, when did this become gaming? I guess that's my.
When
I
Digital
think
Foundry started doing those comparisons.
It was always gaming. The beast evolved instead of like suddenly existed. I mean, what in the '90s you had the Sega versus Nintendo console wars in magazines and the.
I know, but that wasn't like this though. I lived through it.
No.
Like this.
It wasn't like this because we didn't have the internet.
Toxic either.
No way. It was. Have you seen the early BB boards? At that time, I've seen archives. I've seen archives of that crap. That is almost as bad as Era is today.
I'm talking about like 80s now and early 90s.
Yeah,
when the internet wasn't even a thing.
It never
was a thing, and niche gamers had their bulletin board forums.
Yeah,
in the early
you're
90s.
You're talking about 15 people in the world, man. Like, let's not act like that was thousands of people. Like.
I mean, maybe 15 people in Australia, but
let's realize here, like, we get it, no matter what you're talking about, sports, games, movies, comic books, politics, you've got a team and you pick your team and you support your team, apparently, right? There are always going to be people like that in the world. What I'm puzzled by is one, the whole keyboard warrior anonymity. Like, Microsoft and Sony don't care that you're fighting this good fight, right? No, it's just noise, and it's so ridiculous to direct your vitriol at people just reporting data. Like, hey, we did this, and this is the data. It doesn't pick a side, it's just fact. Like, if this is keeping you up at night and you're upset about it, you need to really reevaluate your life choices. Like, good lord.
I can just imagine the people returning their Valhalla copies to get a PS5 version, just sitting up at night crying to themselves. And
their patch came out
about
and it's done worse.
Yeah.
You deserved everything you got. Oh, man. But, yeah, and I've seen John Lineman from Digital Foundry. I think he's taken a break off of Twitter. He's locked it down. He only replies to people that he follows. He's closed his DMs. I don't know
why he continues to interact.
I don't
know. It seems a bit silly to complain about stuff that, not him personally, but Digital Foundry as a whole. It seems a bit silly to complain about reactions to stuff that you're partly responsible for stoking. Like,
yes.
This stuff got worse once Digital Foundry entered the game and started analysing 360 and PS3 games. That's where it all started. If these guys never existed, most people would not even notice when their game dips a little bit. Most people wouldn't notice it. Like, I used to play 64 games at like 2 frames a second and I still love them.
Yeah.
Like, and I only notice it now when I go back to them.
Yeah.
Obviously. But like these days, like I see dips in my games here and there. And it doesn't even register. You see it and you notice it, but it doesn't register. Like, it doesn't, like, before I got Hyrule Warriors, I was reading online about, oh my God, the horrific performance, and I'm just like, I was playing it and I barely noticed. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, okay, so there's like 1,000 people on screen and I threw a bomb into it and it slowed down a little bit. Okay, cool, man. Like, my life's going to go on. Like, people act like they need to jump off a bridge because there was a frame dip from 60 down to 51 for like a fraction of a second that they wouldn't have noticed if Digital Foundry hadn't pointed it out. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, Nick, I know you and we kind of joint run the XboxEra Twitter account, right? And before we started XboxEra, I was not a guy that interacted or got involved on Twitter, right? And now I've seen all sorts of crap slung our way.
Yeah, I know.
And whenever I see someone like that, and I guess it depends on the psyche of the person, right? I was bullied relentlessly at school all the time, right? And I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm a vain, narcissistic git, but it just bounced off me. I was just like, I am better than you. And it never got to me, ever, right? And it still doesn't to this day. I don't sit there and think about what someone said about me at night. It just bounces off, right? So when I see fanboys arguing, I roll up my sleeves and enjoy it, you know, like, and to be clear, we don't fanboy with the XboxEra Twitter account. We don't do the things that you see those Twitter warriors do, where we're stoking the flames and we're trying to wind people up. Like, we have no interest in it. But if someone comes in the comments and starts slinging mud, like, yeah, I might have a little bit of fun. But it doesn't emotionally affect me. And I think if you find yourself being emotionally affected by what people say, or if they drop you a DM and it's horrific or whatever, you have no obligation to be on Twitter, right? Your job role does not mean you have to be there, all right? You can just totally disconnect yourself from that and just do the job. Make your choice. Do what's right for you as a person, not keep trying to... You're never going to fix this. It's never going to go away.
I don't know. I don't know. I see a lot of mixed messages. Like, you know, John is in our Discord and he used to interact in there and doesn't much at all, if anything, anymore. And it's like, well, hold on. You complain about all the toxicity you receive on Twitter. We love him in the Discord and we chat with him and we talk about the game comparisons, all really, and yet he doesn't interact in that environment where everyone's really nice to him. Yet he chooses to engage on Twitter. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like,
I agree that turning it off is a good shout. He definitely should, and just go play some games. It's the best solution to a lot of life's problems.
Yeah.
What else we had? Piranha Games, developers of MechWarrior 5, which is available on PC Game Pass, announced earlier this week that it is coming to Xbox One, Xbox Series platform in 2021.
That's the first time that a MechWarrior game's been on Xbox or on console for a long time, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. Like,
when was the last one released?
I don't think from memory that we've had a mech game on a console. We've had Mech Assault. It's a different franchise. MechWarrior is a different beast.
Okay.
Okay. Man, that was probably one of my first video games live. MechWarrior 2 on the PC.
Wait, wasn't there that free to play mech game on
Hawken.
Xbox One a few years?
You're talking about Hawken. Yeah, but it's not MechWarrior. It's just, anyone can make a mech game, but MechWarrior is the franchise, man. Having said that, I played as a big MechWarrior fan as a kid. I used to love those games. I played MechWarrior 5 on PC. Man, it was very, very rough performance-wise. Granted, it was before my new machine. Maybe I should give it another spin. And I don't know, man. It just didn't feel right. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'll definitely give it a go. We'll see what happens.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Microsoft owns the MechWarrior IP, yes?
It's complicated, yes.
And they license it out?
They license it out,
like that?
kind of. It is complicated, and I couldn't explain it if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But
I always found it weird that it hasn't been on console before when technically Microsoft has some kind of control over the IP. Let's say it that way. They have some sort of control over the IP, even if they don't own it, per se.
They could say, oh, you want to license this? Sure, but make sure it's developed for our platform.
Yeah, I'm surprised
maybe someone's had that conversation, like, guys,
especially the OG Xbox, which at the time was a monster PC.
Man, Steel Battalion, OG Xbox.
Never played that.
So Steel Battalion was a mech game, but it had this
Capcom
massive controller. And the coolest thing about it was it had this like eject button. And the game,
battle station.
Yeah, if you didn't flip the glass lid and smash that eject button when you were under fire and you're going to die, the game wiped your save and you had to start from the whole very beginning.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Genius.
Seriously?
Yeah, I mean that's
cool.
cool.
No wonder that bombed though. Jesus.
I would love to have played it, man. I never got a chance.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it wasn't because of the fact that of the permadeath situation. I think it was 100% because the controller was the size of a mid-sized desk,
and it was expensive
Yeah,
it's still very cool.
Yeah. So. Well, there was a story. There was a story in one of the IGN Xbox podcasts a while ago where what's his name? The head of Xbox before Don Matrick. What was his name? 360 guy. Peter Moore. Yeah. He was talking about how he kept the steel battalion box in his office as an extra chair because it was so big.
Amazing.
Yep.
Legend. I miss the Peter Moore days.
Can we do, before we go to the next thing about Halo, a random PSA? I stuck that in there myself. DTSX, which is that audio format codec thing, whatever it is on sale. It's 50% off. It's 50% off on Xbox at the moment. Like I got Dolby Atmos because that back when that was on sale. And I got DTSX as well. And if you've got a set of headphones for your Xbox, DTSX is worth it. It's actually quite good. Like it's probably the first time I've legitimately heard a difference in the audio when playing games. And when you get the app and then you buy it, it lets you do a little testing, and it's got like a little marker and you move it around you and you lift it up and down and you full on hear the difference in your headphones. It's actually great. DTSX.
I'll check that out. I appreciate
it's worth getting. It's great.
Announcement. I will definitely investigate on that.
Isn't DTSX the direct competitor of Dolby Atmos? Right?
Well, they're both by Dolby, aren't they?
No, DTS is a different company.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why
it's
did
like
Dolby...
It's the direct competitor to Dolby.
Oh, I sound dumb then. I actually didn't know that.
They begin with a D. That's enough.
Yeah, DTSX. Like I said, with Dolby Atmos, when I activated that on my headphones, I didn't really notice anything, to be honest. But with DTSX, I fully have actually noticed directional audio, and it sounds amazing.
I'll definitely check it out.
I just have a pair of Turtle Beach Stealth 600s. Like they're not.
Yeah, I think that's because DTSX is a lot more of an open standard, I guess. As far as I'm aware, Dolby Atmos requires specific licensing, even on the part of like game creators and like movie creators to like implement. It does. Whereas DTSX is like, it's a software layer over the sound. It can literally apply to everything. So
it is legitimately great. One of the Xbox era team, Don Cabeza, he mentioned it in the Discord, like that it was on sale. So I went and checked out the price, and it was like $15 Australian. So I was like, I'll just grab it. And man, it is like you instantly hear a difference, a genuine difference. And I'm not an audiophile. Like, I've bought different headphones claiming to be 3D audio, blah, 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 blah. And to me, I honestly don't notice much of it. But with DTSX, I want to play Modern Warfare. I haven't played it for a little while. I want to play Modern Warfare multiplayer with it just to see if I can really hear that difference. Because even in Rocket League, I noticed it. It was really, really good.
I will definitely investigate. Now, I know you mentioned that we should talk about the
Halo.
However, I'm also acutely aware that we've got a couple of community questions that specifically reference this topic. So,
do they? Okay.
Yeah, in the efforts of time, why don't we answer it then rather
community
than
questions?
Now? Well, before we do community questions, Nick, we have to do one of our favourite things, which is thanking our wonderful, wonderful patrons. So, to the Scarecrow 121, Torn Raptor, Shadowgasm, Sowing Shade, Blast the Bass, and our latest Tier 2 patron, Notian. Thank you for your support, and all of our patrons. We really appreciate everybody that is on our team and helping us do what we do. You're helping us keep the lights on and do all of this fun stuff, so massive thank you to you guys. And without further ado, Community Questions.
Community Questions.
It's our favourite time of year.
Yep. So Patreon first. Torn Raptor. This is a question I submitted late a few podcasts ago that hasn't been talked about. On the most recent Major Nelson podcast, he interviewed Jason Ronald. They, at a point in the interview, talked about Gears 5 on Series X and referred to the devs as the Gears team. Does this point to maybe the Coalition having more than one team, or perhaps the rest of the team not working on enhancements are working on a new IP? Or maybe it's just a big nothing.
Perhaps.
Yeah. That's interesting. I hope that's the case. Like, I've mentioned for years, literal years, that 343 and Coalition are massive studios. And there's no reason you couldn't splinter off smaller teams to do other stuff. Even if it's like other stuff within those franchises. It'd be better if they were completely different, but even other stuff within those franchises. Like, you know, there's a Gears third-person team, but then there's the team that does something like Tactics or something completely separate.
Yeah.
But he could be right. Maybe they have another team if he called them the Gears team.
Yeah, I would like to think that that's the case. I think, and I don't know this is not factual, this is a supposition on my part. I think that due to the number of acquisitions and creator freedom that is being given to those acquisitions, a lot of the in-house existing teams, I fully imagine conversations were like, can we do that too? And I hope that that's the case. I've never really jived with Microsoft's approach to some of their studios, and you have to do this, and that is your life force. Because I think by delving into other genres and types of games, you might fail, you might not succeed, and you have a commercial flop, and it's a risk. But now with Game Pass, you know, and Phil's spoken publicly about this, there is less risk. You can do the niche, and someone will play it, you know, and you're covered by that recurring revenue of Game Pass subscriptions. So I would certainly hope that not just the Coalition, but, you know, teams like 343, even if they have to stick in their universes, and I think with Gears you don't really have to stick in that universe, right? You can make something else. Halo, I think for some reason is a little bit more revered, and I doubt we'll ever see anything that isn't playing somewhere in the Halo universe from those guys. But I certainly suspect teams like the Coalition to do something maybe a little different this generation. But we'll see.
I would like to see 343 do a Halo noir game where you get to play as an Oni agent. That'd be awesome.
I'd love to see them do a flood horror survival game.
Ooh. Yeah.
You know, there's
like
all
on
sorts
an
of
abandoned installation somewhere.
Yeah, why not?
We could honestly do an entire episode on how I think Gears should go. But anyway.
Yeah, same for Halo, to be fair. But that's why we have the You Have Me at Halo podcast, which if you haven't checked out...
I'll have to jump on there. Now, sorry.
Good catch,
the next
by the way.
question's from someone whose name I can't remember their gamer tag / online name, and it's not attached to Patreon. So, Daniel, sorry.
That's not in.
No, it's not.
No?
No. There's two.
Okay.
There's two.
There's two.
So, Daniel, do you guys think Microsoft should create a QA team within Xbox Game Studios that their sole purpose is to QA each title that leaves the studio? I know they all have their own QA teams, but I think this would be a good circuit breaker if those teams within the studios miss something. This second, much bigger QA team could pick up on it and fix it before it ships. There has been a few times where games launch broken, and something like a dedicated team within MS who just works on fixing QA stuff could make Xbox Game Studios titles seem more premium with no bugs or performance issues.
They do.
I actually think a team like that exists.
They do.
Let me
which is scary.
I worked QA for Sony Online Entertainment a few years ago. When I got out of high school, actually, because I did an internship with them. This was before they got bought out by some holding firm and became Daybreak Games. And then I got laid off because a bunch of people got laid off in that transition. So the thing about QA is just having more QA, it doesn't fix all the problems. Because 99% of the time, games getting shipped broken or with lots of issues isn't because the game didn't touch QA. It's because none of them had time to fix anything.
Yeah.
And they also didn't have me. I'm like the king of game breakers. They should hire me.
Publishers have strict deadline requirements for a lot of studios. And unless something catastrophic happens where the world is literally ending, those games are getting shipped on that timeline. And there's barely any budging. Now, games can be delayed if there's a serious issue that needs to be addressed, if the game is fundamentally broken, or let's say if random AAA game X decides to detonate Xbox consoles all of a sudden, then there might be a problem that needs fixing. Yeah. But barring any catastrophic issues like a game bricking consoles, a game will ship at the time the publisher says it will ship.
Well, I mean, look at Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Don't you mean patio heater extraordinaire? I saw a video.
And this is what I'm saying. Like, most people would argue that Miles Morales feels premium, but from what I've seen, that's one of the buggiest games going around at the moment.
So,
yeah, it's more QA will not solve the problem. Publishers being more lenient with their dev teams, allowing them to actually fix the problems before adding new content, or even have the devs focus on fixing issues raised by the QA teams they already have before the game ships, before you even put those devs on DLC development. That is the only way you're going to start getting games that don't ship fundamentally broken.
I do find the bugginess of Miles Morales curious, though.
Considering it's built on an existing engine.
It's a game built off another game. It's kind of like Crackdown 2, really. It's the Crackdown 2 of Spider-Man.
A buggy game, just because it's built on the same engine and uses most of the same assets, doesn't necessarily mean the game is guaranteed to have less problems. There could have been something under the hood that someone fixed or someone changed because they thought it was going to be beneficial to the overall product, and now it's introduced 1,000 more bugs that need fixing. And God knows Sony isn't going to let Spider-Man slip into 2021 like every other game in this godforsaken year.
But like it's got a lot low. Like it's the number one game that gets mentioned of when people talk about their PS5 crashing or shutting down. It's during Miles Morales. And then you see all the funny videos about people turning into bricks. I fully understand, and dumpsters.
I'm pretty sure Sony had a very strict deadline of, no, you're going to release this as a PS5 launch day exclusive, and that's fine.
So from experience, Microsoft do have a large QA team. They also have something called Microsoft User Research, which is a little different from QA, but touches a lot of similar points, and I think there was a really good interview when it came to Halo 3 where they talked about quality assurance testing and running it through Microsoft Research, where they came back with lots of talking points. And similarly, I think Halo 2 matchmaking system, User Research came back and were like, this is wrong. What are you doing with this weird couch matchmaking experience? People want server lists. Thank God Research weren't listened to, right? But much to Figment's point, throwing more QA, the way typical dev teams work that I've worked with, they throw them into categories of must fix, would be nice to fix, and
does it break the game? Does it?
Not important. And a number of games have launched with things where we knew about that. They always know about most bugs, right? Always, but it's the ones that break the game.
But they prioritize the ones. They're prioritizing the ones that either fundamentally break the game or that fundamentally break your console. Either situation is not good.
Yeah. Look, the premium that Daniel's referring to, I know what he's getting at.
Yeah.
This how do I there's no way for me to word this without it sounding mean. But that premium feeling you're talking about, that's talent, for want of a better word. Like, and I feel that's something that gets lost in a lot of these discussions and arguments and debates. Like, just like in anything, yeah? Like, there are certain people that are better at things than others. Yeah? So you can have two computer programmers and both of them know how to program, but one can just do it better than the other guy. Yeah. For whatever reason. He's just more talented. Same in sport. Same in anything. Like,
and it also depends entirely on the context of what the people are asking for. Because sometimes the worst programmers aren't the people who make their code the best programmers aren't the people who make their code the most efficient to the point where they're increasing the time it takes to do a task by like 0.1 seconds. No, they're the people who document their code, and so other people know how to work with it and use it and implement it in their environments.
But it's in everything. Like, you know, everyone can clean a house, but not everyone can clean a house like I can. It's just one of those things. Some people have Mr. White Glove for certain things than others. So, you know, like, it's funny. And I noticed that, and I thought of this because I'm playing Days Gone now. So, you know, when you play Uncharted and when you play God of War, there are these little things that Sony puts in their games and that's not even a talent thing. Obviously some of Sony's first parties have people in those teams that think of these things that maybe Microsoft's doesn't. So, for example, and even studios within Sony maybe don't think of. So, for example, when you play Uncharted, one of the little things you notice is that if Drake is standing on a dead body, one of his feet will raise and actually be standing on the body while the other one is on the ground. What most games do is that when you walk through a dead body, you just clip through it. Now, it's not a thing that makes a game worse, makes a game better. It doesn't break the game. It doesn't ruin the game. But it's just one of those little tiny details that, say, someone like Naughty Dog thinks of that Bend doesn't. So in Days Gone, you just clip through the dead bodies.
Yeah.
I immediately noticed that. Like, when I ran over them with my motorbike, they didn't move. They didn't react to the motorbike just went straight through them. Where in a Naughty Dog game, that dead body's probably going to react to the vehicle. And it's just one of those things. Like,
I think another thing that's premium stuff is, you know, back to any E3, and you saw Microsoft kind of first really do it in a similar way from memory, and I could be wrong, and call me out if you think I am, right? Sony Entertainment Presents. Just that black background, white font, serious trailer, all gameplay.
Yeah.
The first time from memory that Microsoft did that was for the Halo Infinite reveal trailer. Not the trailer, not the gameplay trailer, not the cutscene, but the engine trailer, the slip space trailer. If you watch it, Microsoft Studios Presents or Xbox Game Studios Presents. I can't remember what it said. Yeah. That was the first time, and everyone sort of stopped. And when you talk about premium, I think the way that stuff gets presented often accounts to the feel. Like, I think Microsoft and whoever, and this is not I'm not trying to disparage them. It doesn't gel with me as a consumer. This whole, you know, upbeat or, you know, kind of vibe that they put to a lot of their trailers, where it's like, you know, boom, bombastic, you know, I think it again leans into that. Realize the maturity of your audience now. You know, most gamers are in their 30s. That's just fact. And
mid to late 30s.
Yeah, and when you see, and I guess it kind of ties into this whole, you know, play a game, not a movie, right? I think Microsoft are still advertising them as games sometimes, when what gets people talking and what creates that feeling of premium, of I'm valued, whatever. It's just a different marketing sheen to it as well. But maybe I'm ad-libbing and not really.
And to add on to Nick's thing of like the whole talent thing, I spent a lot of time growing up among people who wrote and still write professionally and semi-professionally. And one of the few things I learned from like interacting with them and hanging out with them all the time was you can't teach someone how to write a good book. You can't. That's something you only learn from doing it yourself, you know? And there's a lot of studios nowadays going after talent that exists having graduated from college with a game design degree. Not to disparage the degree programs entirely, but if it's anything like the computer science engineering degrees that people get, a degree is not a sign of being able and capable of taking on that job. You can't teach good game design to people.
I think you're talking experience versus academics here.
It is, yeah. It's very much an experience versus academics thing. Because you can't, like I said, you can't teach people how to design a good game. They just kind of have to learn on their own. They have to try things. They have to think for themselves and make mistakes and understand why those mistakes happened, or even if they were happy accidents to begin with. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of the things that we take for granted in gaming now at some point had started as a mistake. Like, people didn't intend for that to happen.
Halo 1 pistol.
But guess what? It becomes so integral to the experience that people keep coming back for more, you know? And that's just something that you kind of have to learn to understand.
One of the things Sony does really well that Microsoft, I think, to this day is still not great at, is Sony recognizes, how do I explain it? Sony recognizes who the right people to keep are, and they keep them. So Sony also has this internal tech team. That's not one of their first-party studios. They have like this internal technology team that generally goes over all the games and gives them a one. So one example I can think of is that Concrete Genie game. Like, if you look at the early showings of that game and then look at the game that came out, they're actually noticeably different, because what they do is Sony has this internal tech team that goes over a lot of their games and gives them that look that their games are known for. And they even do it to the bigger studios' games. Yep. And there's obviously a hell of a lot of genuine talent in that team, and Sony, I think, will do anything to keep them. Think about Naughty Dog.
Microsoft have stood up a similar team now. Again, whether they've got that level, I don't know.
No. Microsoft, I think, has that team too, and they've been around a while. But, like, for example, look at Naughty Dog, right? So Naughty Dog, yeah, people make it's a meme at this point with Rare, and Rare's not the same Rare that they were 20 years ago. Guess what? Naughty Dog's not the same Naughty Dog that it was 20 years ago either, but you don't hear people saying that. You know why? Because Naughty Dog's quality level hasn't really dipped. It's just gotten better or stayed at the same high level. And that's despite them bleeding a lot of talent. And again, it's because I think Sony knows which are the key people to keep. I know that can be twisted to sound really horrible, don't get me wrong, but so for example, look at 343, yeah? So look at Halo 4 and how that game looked. Like, that game should not have been possible on 360 hardware.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the people responsible for why Halo 4 looked the way it did, they're not at 343. They're not there anymore. So it's hard. Like, there's a difference between an artist and a tech artist. There's a difference between, like, there's all sorts of people that are responsible for why games look the way they look. And part of a studio being great or average or mediocre or unbelievable, whatever, is knowing which are the right people to make sure you retain. So, I don't know, maybe Microsoft needs to work better at that aspect of it in keeping those right people at studios.
We hope we answered your
Microsoft
question.
Needs to work. Yeah, and I think Microsoft to finish that off. I think Microsoft
one question. Jesus Christ.
I think Microsoft needs to work on making sure that they innovate where they're able and not where they don't need to.
And the funny thing is, I've actually said this a lot in the past, whether it's on forums, or it's in the Discord and Twitter group DMs or whatever. Microsoft really needs to work hard at talent retention, like recognizing who it is that really, really they need to do everything in their power to keep a hold of, and who are the ones where if this person wants to leave, okay, cool, best of luck to you, and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, that's for another episode.
Yep.
Okay, so we're still on Patreon questions. Nodian, there's been a lot of noise about Blue Point being purchased by Sony, which seems like a given at this point. I don't know if it's a given. There's another studio that I reckon Sony might nab before Blue Point. But anyway, as such, Blue Point's primary output has been that of remasters, remakes. They also do a lot of ports, by the way. They did the Titanfall 360 port. As such, Blue Point's primary output has been that. And given Sony's trend of charging multiple times for the same concern, I don't see that changing regardless of an acquisition. Do you think there's any reason Microsoft should purchase a studio primarily for remaster remake output? Personally, I think that's unnecessary and counter to the promotion of back compat and the enhancements made on the system level. That's a good point. However, there were rumors that Microsoft were looking at Blue Point for that reason. I think at one point they were looking at Blue Point specifically for remakes and remasters of older games. I don't believe that's happening anymore, and maybe Sony's looking at them. I'm not sure. But yeah, it does. I think Nodian's right. It kind of does go against what the BC team
it does, and
are doing.
More, would you always want to just constantly be working on someone else's masterpiece? Like,
also, as a customer base, like, okay, so my little cousin loves Spider-Man, and to the point where he bought a PS4 specifically for Spider-Man, and he bought Miles Morales. And when I went over to his house the other day, he said to me, he goes, "Hey, why is Miles Morales so short?" And I said, well, that's because it was DLC for Spider-Man that they decided to sell as a full game. I know a lot of people aren't going to like hearing that, but it's kind of true. And the thing is, Sony's fans have told them that that's what they want.
Yeah.
Sony's fans over the last, Sony's, I've said this before, Sony's great at stoking the fanboys. They're brilliant at it. They're brilliant at making their fans super hardcore, super whatever you want to call it. And when you sit there for the better part of a decade making fun of BC and buying all these remasters, then Sony doesn't have much incentive to put the effort into BC that Microsoft has.
And I think people were surprised at how good it is on PlayStation.
Yeah, that's probably why there was so much surprise at how some of the backwards compatible games ran. Like I said, Days Gone runs at 4K 60, and I don't think there was any involvement from them on that. I think that's just part of how Days Gone was built, that the PS5 could just push it to 4K 60. But on the Miles Morales thing, well, I mean, you all told Sony that that's what you want. So what did you think Sony was going to do? Like, they locked the Spider-Man remaster behind the Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales. Like, that's... Sorry, but that's kind of disgraceful, really. Like, it's unbelievable. It's kind of like what they did with Infinite Warfare and the Modern Warfare Remastered.
Yeah.
They locked the Modern Warfare Remastered behind Infinite Warfare, which I remember I complained about at the time. And guess what? I didn't buy Infinite Warfare. I just waited till Modern Warfare Remastered was sold separately and I got it. And I'll do the same with Spider-Man Remastered. I'll wait for them to sell it separately, and I'll maybe buy that. Like,
Yeah.
if you all, like, it's never going to happen, but if you all start voting with your wallet, like, actually put your money where your mouth is, they'll stop doing this crap. They really will. But as long as you keep telling Sony that you're willing to fork out full-priced money for this stuff, they're going to keep doing it. Like, Last of Us 2 is on sale at the moment. And I'm really debating on whether I pull the trigger. It's like $57 instead of $100. And I'm like, should I buy it? Like, isn't anyone finding it weird that we've heard nothing about Last of Us 2 and what's going on with the PS5 version of it? Like, put it this way. Okay, so Days Gone runs 4K 60. Ghost of Tsushima, I think it's the same. I think it runs 4K 60 on the PS5.
Yep.
No enhancements, no nothing. Isn't it funny that we've heard nothing about Last of Us 2?
Well,
Anyone
let's
else
be honest.
The absence?
There was the whole multiplayer mode. It's probably going to be announced at Game Awards or next
the
year.
Multiplayer mode. We've heard nothing about Last of Us 2 in the PS5. Absolutely nothing. Given what's going on with Miles Morales and Spider-Man, I'm willing to say that it's a fairly safe bet that Last of Us 2 is going to be another screw-over job. And that's why I'm holding off on buy it. Because I don't want to buy it and then Sony's going to turn around later and say, hey, give us more money for this enhanced version for PS5, whatever. Like, because that's what you're all telling them you want them to do. So that's what they're going to keep doing.
Yeah, guarantee. There's going to be a Last of Us 2 remaster released early next year. And it'll probably have Game of the Year edition slapped on it because if they win Game of the Year at Game Awards, then it's inevitable. They're gonna put that something on there.
And I wish. Remember, I said it. I think on our last episode or whatever. The worst part about gaming is gamers. Just like stop supporting stuff like this, and they'll stop doing it. They really will. Like, I know it's a broken record statement at the moment, but voting with your wallet, it actually does work.
Very true.
The vast majority of the time, it actually does.
Very true.
You know. Xbox gamers want more Japanese games. Vote with your wallet and buy them when they're there. Like, no one on Xbox buys them. So guess what? Japanese devs keep avoiding Xbox because no one's buying it. Like, I don't know, it's really simple stuff. But anyway, he's also got a second question. This one's pretty quick. After seeing this make the rounds, why does Aaron Greenberg play with our hearts so? The hedgehog and the Xbox controller thing from this week is just too much. As you all know, I'm a bit of a Sega lobbyist at this point, so I don't appreciate the poking. I don't know. Aaron does a lot of stuff that amounts to nothing. But
he is a marketing guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gets people talking.
I still don't think Sega's not going to happen. I was a Sega fanboy growing up. I'd love it, but
God, I wish it does though. I wish it does. The meltdowns on Twitter alone would be enough. So it would be enough to justify that.
For sure. Okay. That's information questions. All right.
John, can you imagine if that does happen though? Like how would your Twitter feed look like?
God. It would be painful for a long time.
It's weird. One thing I've discovered about the Xbox era Twitter, there's some people that tweet at us or reply to us like we are Xbox.
Yeah, it's pretty odd.
It's very weird. Like, they ask us questions and reply to us as if we are Xbox and would know these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really strange. Anyway.
It's kind of cute.
Twitter questions. This is... All right. Should I say the name or should I say his name? This is Xbox era person.
It's proven, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's proven.
Yeah, proven.
Okay. Yeah. What are your expectations for 343's high-level update? Will it be something minor like a blog post and additional details about the game, or do you actually think they show the game off? I don't know. What is this high-level update? I read about it briefly.
Yeah, they basically said, look, we know all Halo fans really want to hear where we're at, what's going on. We will provide a high-level update before the end of the year. What does that look like? And in what form will it take?
It'll just be Sketch coming onto the freaking blog there and talking about how, here's a look at some new armor models for Master Chief's hand. That's about it.
I wonder if they do something like, would they go all out and release the same trailer but with whatever adjustments they've made? Would they?
Would anyone notice that?
I don't know. It depends how severe those adjustments are, right?
Maybe.
Intriguing.
But they say high level. If they specifically called it a high level update, it would suggest that it's not just going to be a trailer with the newer graphics.
Maybe it'll be screenshot comparisons and stuff. I don't know.
Might just be a blog post.
I feel like you guys are okay. I feel like you guys are focusing on game updates and not just studio updates. Because high level to me sounds like we're going to update you on the status of the people working on the game. That's what it sounds like to me.
Unfortunately, I'd like to say that the majority would care about the people because I do. But I think people,
but they don't.
They want to care about the game, and that's what the messaging will be about. Halo fans at this point are hungry. Halo Infinite showing, which should have been this triumphant moment for that team, was not, and it's a shame. So I think if they're going to share anything, either they set some expectations and they share a few nuggets to tide people over. So a blog post with a few bits, maybe a screenshot or two, something like that. Or if they really want to make a splash, they'll do something else. But I don't see that happening.
And unfortunately, with every passing week, the pressure on Infinite mounts, which is unfortunate, but a reality of the situation.
Very much so.
Vinny UK, top sleeper / under the radar Game Pass recommendations from each host.
Ooh.
Good one.
Sleeper Game Pass.
Sleeper or under the radar.
Under the radar. Like, what's one that most people wouldn't have played and definitely should check out?
The Tourist. By me.
Good little game.
I think I talked about it on the last episode. Tourist is really cool.
Yeah.
Small little game by
I'm trying to think.
Technically competent developer in the world, Shinen. Runs at 6K on Series X, I think, downsampled. Runs at 4K 60 on the One X. Pretty short little game, relatively easy 1,000 gamer score. The Tourist is mine.
Yeah, it's a good choice. I would tell you, I'm going to be cheeky because I'm going to give Figments the time he needs to have a final choice in this.
I'm looking
trifecta.
Through the Game Pass app to see what I've played.
I would give you two. I will give you the first one, which is my personal game of the year. Might have been last year, which was Lonely Mountains Downhill. Superb little game. Race your bike downhill. Horrifically addictive. It is one of the only games in living memory recently where I've been like, swearing, where you feel the pad creaking through your rage at not getting it to the checkpoint in time or crashing your bike or whatever. And I'm pleased to say I checked in terms of how it ran between the Xbox One S and One X versus the Series, and it runs beautifully on the Series S and X. Rock solid 60. Gorgeous, simple but pretty polygonal style, graphical sort of style. It's absolutely brilliant. And my bonus would be Carrion. If you haven't played it, it's kind of like a Metroidvania style pixel art game, but you are the thing from John Carpenter's The Thing, and you've got to escape. It's really cool. Give it a go. What about you, Figments?
Also, The Gardens Between.
The
Gardens Between is really good too. It's a very chill puzzle game. I liked it.
Come on, you
Easy
got
1000
good.
as well.
Now, I know this was on the radar a few years ago because of, I think it was nominated at Game Awards. What Remains of Edith Finch?
I've played that game. That was my game of the year. Whenever I played it, when was that? 2017. Absolutely beautiful game.
Absolutely amazing game. One of the best game stories ever told.
Is it on Game Pass?
It's on Game Pass, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you should give it a shot, Nick. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, 100%
phenomenal
play
writing, phenomenal world building.
Similar
the
in
way
style
this-
to Gone Home, yes.
Similar in style, but I think where Edith Finch succeeds over Gone Home is the fact that the story feels a lot more. It feels a lot more alive, to be honest.
I will say personally, as a parent, there were moments in that game that really hit me and hit me really hard. Really a storytelling tour de force, and I think even Phil Spencer said that game blew him away when he played it. Yeah, you should 100% give it a go if you haven't played it. Really good.
Yeah, it's
game score's pretty
phenomenal.
easy to get as well because it's just progressive. You just get it as you play.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Good question, Vin. Thank you.
Last Twitter question. Pine486. I actually quite like this question because I reckon I've talked about this before. I have a doubt about quick resume. Does this add up too much cache? And about the cache, to clean up the cache on Xbox Series SX, is it the same as on Xbox One, where you hold the power button down for 10 seconds? How often do you recommend to clean up the cache? Well, I unfortunately don't have a Series S or X, but I too have had my doubts about quick resume. Like I've always said that I don't know why Microsoft felt the need to have quick resume support so many games. Like I would have preferred that they just got quick resume or suspend resume flawless for 2 games. So I can just jump between 2 games at once. I don't know why we need it for 5 or 6. Because that would have to take up room on the SSD, would it not?
It does.
It has to.
In save states, yeah.
It has to. Like, I don't know.
You hit the nail on the head. It also has to work more. Also, interestingly, is it cache, or cache?
Cache.
I call it cache.
I've always called it cache. I call it cache.
Yeah. It's cache.
Let us know in the YouTube comments below. Is it cache?
You're
cache,
American. How the hell would you know how a word is bloody pronounced?
Yeah, you guys just remove letters.
Australian.
How the hell would you know how a word is
Australian.
pronounced?
How would you know? Did the prison guards teach you down there in Australia?
Americans butcher English.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, sure.
There was an amusing.
All right, aluminum.
Well, there's an amusing anecdote from a comedian, and I think they're talking about Americans and how Americans speak, and it's American words are simple so that the Americans know what they're doing. Like in Britain, we call it a pavement, and in America they call it a sidewalk because you walk on the side. You know, we go horse riding. Americans are like, no, we go horseback riding. We're on the back. We're on the back of the horse.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's amusing to me. I work with.
I'm sorry.
I work for an American
I'm sorry that the country that has provided the means by which all this technology works and functions the way it should is being laughed at by people who think
we've struck a nerve.
That cache is pronounced cache.
Hey,
for some
it's also pronounced
Caché.
reason. You know, like depends on where you're
There's
from.
no accent on the E. It's cache.
Whatever. Well, I don't call it cache. I call it cache.
There's no accent on the A either.
You know that the language that you speak is known as English, yeah?
Have you guys played PUBG?
Yeah, it's not Australian.
It's not American. It's not American.
It's not Australian
English.
either.
It's English. Yeah, but Australians came from England.
Oh, do you know we're gonna have to make that you guys we owned both of you at one point in time. All right, just it's fine. We're gonna have to have an America.
We fought a war to get away from you, and the Australians just said you guys just didn't want to deal with them anymore.
Yeah,
so
well, you know, we're gonna have to have an America versus Australia versus UK like face off. And I think the only way to settle this, gentlemen, is in a Beat Saber multiplayer match.
No.
Okay, then the UK automatically wins by default. It's fine.
I'm gonna Google something.
You can tell it's like.
Is this the hill Nick's dying on?
This is like that beta thing. That one I have to win. I'm Greek. It's a Greek word. So whatever.
Right.
Okay.
That was amusing.
Moving on
anyway,
from Twitter.
We
that
need
was
to
the end of Twitter. And you guys need to answer. Do you clean up the cache the same way, where you hold down the power button?
Don't know, but
I don't know what cache is. What's cache?
Whatever. I'm sticking to it. I don't care. That's how I've said it for the better part of, I don't know, 20 years.
PUBG, right?
Dude, it's all right to be wrong sometimes. It's all right to be wrong sometimes, okay, Nick?
No, I'm never wrong. Yeah, I assume you hold down. You know what? It's not just a matter of holding down the power button, though. Go into your disk settings.
It's not just that either. Like,
and
clear the box for 30 seconds.
Clear the persistent storage in the Blu-ray settings, too. That helps.
Clear persistent storage. If you need to do a memory reset on the box, turn it all the way down and unplug it from the wall for 30 seconds, and then plug it back in.
Yeah, but I do believe it is the same. Even though I don't own one of those consoles, I believe it is the same, isn't it? The power cycling thing where you hold down the power button?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay, so hopefully that answered your question. And
but
how
on
often
Xbox,
do you recommend it?
On Xbox and...
Theoretically, we shouldn't have to do it as often on the Series S and X because of the SSDs, yeah? Like, I do it on the One X when it starts to feel sluggish and slow. That's when I do it.
That's disk fragmentation. Yeah, on SSDs, you won't necessarily have to do that as often.
Theoretically, you shouldn't have to do it as often.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're finishing up with forum questions, which it's only 3 posts, but a lot of questions within those. So let's hope we can breeze through these quick. Okay. Apache, good day. So I'm going to say that as g'day. Number 1. That's the proper way to say good day. You say g'day.
Mm-hmm, whatever.
With the stuff you talked about last time with the initiative and the structure of the game, I kind of want to dive deeper. No. You described it like a certain British Netflix show, and well, it has to be Black Mirror. Now, this show is unique since it always tells a self-contained story. Do you expect something similar for the game? Short, focused stories, like 4 or 5 hours. Yeah, so the way Black Mirror works is it's kind of all, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Sick, but Black Mirror, all those episodes of Black Mirror, they're all linked to each other technically. They take place within the same overall universe.
Yes, in that
do.
there is an episode in one of the most recent seasons that's kind of like I think it's called The Museum, or it's got a museum in it, and there's lots of artifacts.
Yeah, that's such a good episode.
From all the episodes prior.
Such a good episode.
I wouldn't say that that's necessarily canon in any way, but you could argue
but they all
they're
do
linked.
take place within the same universe.
Yeah, there's very
at the very least.
Yeah, I would say
so. Like there's technology that shows up in multiple episodes, like how people have those eyes and they can play back.
Oh man, rewind
the recorded footage.
What an episode.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah. So when I was talking about Initiative's game, I think it's not. I'm not saying it's exactly like Black Mirror, but there's like a Black Mirror type aspect to it.
Yeah,
I think.
And bear in mind that's only what we're hearing. That's not
it's just stuff we've
facts.
heard. We don't know. We actually don't know anything. Like it's just stuff we're hearing. Like, yeah, I know the word episodic. Though. I know the word episodic.
To pique someone's curiosity, a while ago, this was maybe a few years ago, like either a little bit after the initiative got started or slightly before, but there was an author who wrote a story called, I think, The Dark Waters. It was a short story online that he posted. Incredibly well written.
I remember this. And the author said, I've been picked up as a Microsoft game or something, and we've not heard a peep out of it since.
And we've not heard a peep out of it since. So could his story, because he was picked up because of that story. So could what Initiative's working on be in relation to whatever that author was particularly picked up for?
Maybe his story makes up one of the episodes or seasons of Initiative's game.
I worry about that format, that delivery format for them, because I don't care what any reasonable person would be. You can't have expectations because they haven't announced anything. Nope. The expectation was set. It's going to be Microsoft making your Sony games for Xbox.
But see, that's the thing.
I disagree.
Here's the thing, right?
I'm with you, but that is what people think.
No. Yeah, that's what people think, but that's not an expectation Microsoft set.
No.
All Microsoft ever said was that this is our quadruple A studio.
Which they regret and retracted.
Yeah, which was dumb. But anyway, Microsoft said this is our quadruple A studio. They never said this was our third person slow walk and talk, narrative driven,
sad dad game,
crafting, sad dad, semi-open world.
I love how that's become such a meme too. The sad dad stuff.
Like they never actually said that. That's just
where are the sad moms, huh?
It just that's how people interpreted it, and that's how people have run with it.
And they see all these developers who left Naughty Dog and now work for the Initiative, and they're thinking in their heads, "Oh, it's going to be a Naughty Dog game."
That's what I'm saying. Because they've got they've poached a lot of Sony's talent, a lot of it.
Now, here's a good question: do you think we're going to see Initiative's game at the Game Awards?
I don't know.
I think we will.
Maybe. Either way, I don't think
that would be cool.
The internet's going to react very well to it. The
internet doesn't react very well to a lot of things. So
no. This is going to be different. This is going to be different.
Do you think it's going to be? It's going to be Minecraft added to Minecraft Steve added to Smash?
No, it's a different kind of
taking Twitter down for an entire hour.
This is going to be again. This is just my prediction. Like this is going to be a level of bad where people give up on Microsoft Game Studios, on Xbox Game Studios, kind of bad. As in, fanboys are gonna get really upset and throw out their Xboxes and stuff.
Can't wait.
That kind of fanboy reaction.
Can't wait.
I'd love to see it.
Just a prediction. I'd love to be wrong. Especially about this, but yeah, I'd love to be wrong. Okay. Question 2 from Apache. What are your Game Awards predictions, announcements, and winner? Yeah, we kind of talked about that, didn't we? I'm expecting The Last of Us 2 to win because Jeff. But I think Animal Crossing should win, or even Doom Eternal or Hades, because they're games. They're like video games. They're not interactive movies or whatever. I'd like one of those 3 to win for that reason. And only for that reason. But we kind of talked about that,
We have, yeah.
But yeah, let's be honest. If we're predicting, Last of Us 2 is probably going to win. So apparently, according to Jeff Grubb, Forza Horizon 5 might come next year, and Motorsport will take a longer pause if the teaser is anything to go by. I think Turn 10 is going for the most impressive-looking racer the coming gen. The level of detail there is ridiculous. No tree sprites, please. Did you hear similar things? We talked about that. And finally, my last question: when will we see Everwild again? Don't know.
E3.
Who knows?
Yeah, probably E3. It'll probably go quiet until E3. E3 will probably be back in its traditional form, I reckon, next year.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the rest of the world outside Australia does not believe COVID is a thing. I'm seeing crazy stuff. Oh, yeah. Victoria apparently has officially eliminated COVID 30 days straight without a new case. So apparently, according to epidemiologists, that means you've effectively eradicated it or something.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's 30 days straight. No new cases, no active cases, no deaths, no nothing. It's, for all intents and purposes, it's kind of gone. I don't know how true that is. Because
it's probably not that
just
true.
Don't leave your house without a mask.
Yeah, shouldn't there be people walking around asymptomatic, potentially, spreading it? I don't know how this stuff works. Okay, next, Big Z. Hi all. My question is in regards to the amount of titles at launch that are 60 frames or above, and how this is a shift from the more traditional 30. 30 is not as traditional as you think, Big Z. Do you think this target will hold throughout the gen for a large percentage of games, and do you think developers can even row back the frame rate target now that more and more people see the benefits of high frame rates? For example, with Assassin's Creed. 30 frames, everyone keeps talking about 30 frames being traditional. It's actually not. I'd argue 60 is more common than 30 across video games history.
Yeah.
30 became
30
normal with the 360 and PS3.
Yep.
Prior to the 360 and PS3, actually that's not true because the 64 Saturn PlayStation generation was like 30 or lower. But the 8 and 16-bit generations
30 FPS didn't come into, I don't think it came into common like acceptance in gaming culture until consoles moved to 3D.
Yeah, that's right. Because 8 and 16 were 60. Even the PS2, GameCube, Xbox generation with Dreamcast was more predominantly 60, I think.
Well, that was because it was mostly dominated by like Japanese action games or
games
like I don't.
Like now thinking back,
fighting games.
I don't remember a lot of 30 games on PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. To be completely honest,
there were a lot of Western games that were 30 FPS. I know Morrowind was 30 FPS on the original Xbox. 30 FPS with dips, by the way.
But I feel like the majority was. I feel like the majority were probably 60 in that generation. Or at least I remember most of the games I remember playing during that generation were 60. Most, not all, but most. To me, 30 became more common with the PS3 and the 360.
Maybe you started noticing it more then.
I don't know. Maybe thanks to Digital Foundry.
You're just gonna give John that much like heat over that, huh?
No, it's not John. It's all of Digital Foundry. It's not just him. He's just the one that's complaining about the shit they're copying a lot. And it's like, but you guys are responsible for a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like, you are. I mean, whether they like it or it wasn't intentional. Obviously, they wouldn't mean to do something like that. They're just doing a job. Like, it gets views and it gets hits and it makes them money, so they do it. But, like, to me, you have to accept the fact that you are very largely responsible for a lot of that stuff. Whether you intended it or not, you are. So it's like, I don't know.
It is what it is.
It's a weird catch-22. Like, yeah, anyway. It'd be nice if we didn't have to worry about it, but the reality is you do. So, yeah, well, I think 60 will be more common. Or at least
I hope so.
Performance modes, at the very least. Performance modes. What I hope happens, it's not going to, but what I'd hope is, I hope a lot of developers go back to their games if it's easy enough and unlock the frame rates on them.
Yeah.
Like, you know...
Oh my God, Dark Souls 3 running at 60 FPS on the Xbox Series X would be freaking amazing.
Like these weird situations where the raw disc of Assassin's Creed Unity can run at 4K 60. But as soon as you patch it,
it's locked.
Can't.
Yeah, exactly.
And apparently same with God of War. So I played God of War at 60 on PS5 and it was great, but it was 1080. When I switched to the resolution mode, you saw the difference. But it ran at 30, which was very jarring after you've just seen it at 60.
Yeah.
But apparently the disc unpatched version of God of War runs at 4K 60. So it'd be nice if some of those studios, if it was easy enough and not too much work, to go in and just unlock the frame rate.
I'd love it, but I very much doubt a lot of devs go back to their old stuff and tweak the knobs, etc.
I wish dynamic resolutions. I wish dynamic resolutions and unlock frame rates were far more common.
Yeah.
Because it's future-proofing it.
It
means that future hardware... Yeah, it means that future hardware will take your game and just go bang, push it all the way up.
Hell yeah.
It'd be really nice.
At least come with a toggle to lock or unlock. Nice. Because if you're performing on a machine where you can't get the 60 FPS performance out of, but you want to leave that option in for the future, since that option is on the table now. You can just say, hey, if you wanna play at 60 FPS at 45 FPS like 90% of the time on this Gen 1 box, here you go. But once you get the next box, it's 60 locked.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I mean, just
one day.
Try and think of it, guys. Okay, last question, but there's a lot of parts to it. Let's see if we can burn through this. Liam S. Hi guys. 1. The focus for Microsoft right now seems to be acquisitions, but do you think they will cultivate anyone to become a second-party studio, like Playground before they were acquired? I could see how someone like Remedy would not be excited about getting acquired, but would be happy making games for Xbox as an independent. Okay, so this is kind of like a
Grooming
Sobo.
them.
They've kind of done that with the Sobo. They have a deal with the Sobo, I think. Don't they?
Yeah, I think any future second-party stuff will be done through deals where Microsoft keeps the IP.
Yep, that's standard.
I don't think
now for them.
Microsoft is interested. Yeah, Microsoft is no longer interested in doing partnerships with studios who want to own the IP they're working on. Microsoft wants full control because they don't want an Insomniac situation again, where Insomniac makes Sunset Overdrive and then gets bought by Sony and can never make another Xbox game again.
Sunset Overdrive can't come out on Xbox again. So if Sunset Overdrive 2 happens, it's a PlayStation 5 exclusive.
Yeah.
If Sunset Overdrive 2 happens, but it might not be a slow enough moving game for Sony to greenlight.
Yeah, it doesn't have
Probably
a crying.
fast.
It doesn't have a crying man in his 40s. So
And it's third person, but I think the camera might be too far back.
Yeah.
For Sony
All
to
right,
allow
gentlemen.
it.
All right, let's calm down.
It's a little bit too colourful and a little bit fast and actiony.
it's too much fun, is what it is.
Yeah. And I don't know if there's enough cutscene opportunities. It's unfortunate.
It's getting
But
silly
anyway.
now. This is getting silly now. Come on, let's burn through
So
these.
true, though. So true, though. So yeah, they might look at, because I was saying before, don't they have a bit of a deal with Asobo? I know Asobo have the deal with Focus, but I don't know.
They have a deal for
They
Flight
might-
Simulator specifically, but it might not be for any other titles,
okay.
to my knowledge.
I might be thinking of Flight Sim. There might be a long-term deal with Flight Sim. Yeah, they may do stuff like that, but do they need to now with so many of their own studios?
Not really.
And don't forget, they've got 23 studios, but a lot of those studios have multiple teams.
Yep.
So, yes, they have 23 studios, but they have like 40 teams or so. They've got a lot of teams now.
Yeah, it's good. People aren't ready yet for what a different generation this is going to be for Microsoft. And I feel, because I know a lot of us have been saying, yeah, a lot of us have been saying for a number of years, just wait, it's coming. And it feels like we're still having to say that a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
Just wait.
Yeah.
Next year. Oh, wait for build. Oh, wait for E3. But, like we really mean it this time. Just wait.
It's because so much had to change. It wasn't just a case of them
Slow
having
ship
to
to
acquire
turn.
studios. Like, Microsoft, from a game development point of view, has also had to change just how they deal with studios. Like, now they're saying you've gone from a decade of Microsoft saying, nah, you got to get it out. You got to get it out. Nah, sorry, you got to do it now. Nah, you have to do it now. To saying, you're not ready yet? Okay. No worries, keep going. Oh, you guys don't want to announce that yet? Okay, don't worry about it. Oh, you guys want to pull that from that show and show it at another show? Okay, no worries. So there's two shifts there, which is why everything feels so different and feels like you're waiting for so long, because there's been two major shifts behind the scenes. It sucks because everyone wants everything the way they want it, which is announce everything now and show. But yeah,
announce everything now and release it immediately.
Yeah. I mean, Bethesda might keep doing it that way.
Yeah.
Like, I fully expect Starfield's reveal to release to be quite short, like Bethesda have always done, but yeah.
I mean, Starfield's already been revealed. So
Interesting note.
Was it actually full on?
No, it's had a
reveal?
It wasn't a
teaser.
gameplay revealed, but it's had a teaser, and that's not
but I'm
revealed
talking
for
about
release.
but Bethesda, the way they normally do it is they full on show a reveal, and then release that same year.
So
normally
on Starfield, I think it's coming this year, and the reason, or at least I think we're going to see the big reveal this year. The reason
that's
I say
how the drums are beating.
because even when Phil was talking, he did an interview with The Verge, I think. Was it The Verge? I think it was The Verge. The most recent one where he talked about Game Pass and he talked about how launch was and the pre-order debacle and all of that stuff. But he talked about the ZeniMax acquisition, and he said, with ZeniMax and Starfield, like, of all of the things to mention, you call out the key IP, and the reason for that is if you look at the analytics for Starfield. People want it, right? Even a mate of mine, he said to me, I know you don't like Skyrim particularly. It's not my genre, right? The big open world RPGs of grind. But he also knows I'm a massive sci-fi nerd, and the idea of if it's that and it's like done well, yeah, I'd be interested,
Which is why it needs to be exclusive as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens.
I'm not interested in it, but yeah, I get why it's most likely going to be big and should be an exclusive. That's what Microsoft needs right now.
Yep, big ones.
A big exclusive that people want to talk about. That's what they need, whether they like it or not. Question number 2. How IO Interactive revealed that they were working on a 007 game. Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that. God, I can't believe we didn't.
Well, I thought that was my most annoying reveal ever, but yeah.
Yeah, but it was... Yeah, we'll talk about it. It seems a bit weird to me. Surely they would have been better off waiting for something like the Game Awards to show that short teaser. Probably right. Also interesting that they didn't announce any platforms for it. Maybe trying to drive up acquisition price. Yeah, I can't believe we didn't talk about that. I am staggered that Dan Jack, which is the company that oversees everything Bond media, allowed a new Bond game. That is the company holding back your GoldenEye remake. That's them.
Jerks.
Everyone keeps talking about acquisition. Everyone keeps talking about Activision, Nintendo, Microsoft. It has nothing to do with any of them. Activision aren't involved. I don't know why people keep talking about Activision. Activision aren't involved anymore. They have nothing to do with Bond and Bond games. Stop talking about Activision. I don't think it has anything to do with Nintendo, because that game was a rare game on Nintendo 64. That's why you see Jet Force Gemini on Xbox One. If Nintendo was a problem, why do we have all these Nintendo 64 rare games in the rare collection? Nintendo has nothing to do with why 007's not out. It's between Microsoft, Rare, and Dan Jack. Dan Jack, for some reason, they don't want that GoldenEye 007 remake seeing the light of day. It is all Dan Jack. It's got nothing to do with anyone else.
That's such a shame.
I think they don't like GoldenEye as a property. I don't know. It's just weird. As soon as I saw this 007 game get announced, I'm like, maybe this is hopefully a step towards that GoldenEye remake seeing the light of day, because I don't care.
And now they're going to cancel it. Now they're going to cancel it because you want GoldenEye instead of the game they're making.
That GoldenEye remake would sell consoles. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, it would.
I reckon it would sell consoles.
People would love it. It's got split screen, exactly how it used to be.
It is a game that would penetrate meme culture. It is a game that people would talk about because, and its legend has grown over the years. GoldenEye 007. Because if you actually go back and play that on Nintendo 64, it is borderline unplayable.
Yeah, it's really rough. Perfect Dark was the better game. Just saying.
It's not. Yeah, GoldenEye 007 as a playable game has not held up, but its legend has grown. And when you play that remaster on 360, the Perfect Dark one, it feels great at 1080 60.
Yeah.
And GoldenEye would feel great at 1080 60. I think that remaster needs to happen for Microsoft's sake. Now, I don't know. Maybe Dan Jack is super stubborn. I don't know. But if I was Phil or Matt Booty or whoever is behind that decision, mate, work at it. Talk to Dan Jack. Get that game out.
Yeah, it'll be so good.
I think IO is perfect for this because Hitman and its style is very like GoldenEye was on 64. I don't know how many of you remember that GoldenEye game, but it had missions. Now, obviously, there was no such thing as episodic games back then, but they were selectable missions, and you could do them at different difficulty levels and jump back and forth between them. And
so good.
It's exactly what Hitman became. That's how it's
good point.
They're perfect. They're literally the perfect studio for it.
Yeah.
Yes, you are right though, Liam. I'm surprised they didn't announce it at the Game Awards, especially given it's so close to the Game Awards.
Maybe you'll get a full trailer, because that's the thing. It was like, yeah, tune in, big announcement, and it was like a 10-second thing that Z-Huge ruined.
So
just before.
maybe we will see something at the Game Awards for it. And yeah, no platforms. What was there platform? I thought there was platforms announced.
I can't remember.
I thought the trailer had logos of the platforms. Maybe I misremember.
I don't recall.
Okay. Number 3 out of 6.
Cool.
Do you think that Xbox might have another XO style event early next year? Waiting for E3 feels a bit too long.
Nope.
It would be good to have a show about what is coming to Xbox in the next year specifically, maybe after the Bethesda acquisition is complete.
You might have an inside Xbox episode, but not an XO.
Yeah, they won't have an XO. They would have had that by now, and it was that FanFest.
Yeah. And I fully expect Halo Infinite to release at the end of the first quarter, maybe middle of second, so that will be your big moment for Xbox first half of the year anyway.
Give it longer. Number 4. Of the announced games from Xbox first party, including Bethesda, which game do you think will be the most surprising to people, either in how good it is or how it wasn't what people were expecting? For me, I think Avowed is going to be surprisingly amazing. I have so much faith in Obsidian.
I think your faith is well placed. I think Avowed is going to capture that Skyrim.
Honestly, I'm not really that hyped for Avowed because I found out Josh Sawyer isn't on it. And I'm more hyped for whatever Josh Sawyer is doing.
He did tweet the other day that his character art for the game he's working on is epic, but you'll have to wait and see on that front, won't you?
Yeah. For me, the reason why is because, and anyone who's a big Fallout or Obsidian guy would know this, but he was the lead writer for Fallout New Vegas, and his work, the games he's worked on, and like Pillars, have been absolutely phenomenal in the writing department.
He's a very clever guy.
Great games. He's a very talented dude. So I was disappointed finding out that Avowed wasn't his game, to be honest.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, for me, of the stuff that's been officially announced, probably Everwild.
Yeah.
I still think it's going to be really good.
I think Everwild's going to surprise a lot of people. I do think. I think Halo Infinite is going to surprise people.
Yeah, I know. I was going to mention Halo as well, but it's like, yeah.
I think genuinely think that Halo Infinite is going, despite the poor reveal, I think
graphics don't make a game though.
I think I agree with you. Graphics don't make a game, but I think that overall, when that launches, people are going to suddenly go, "Oh my god!" I think they're going to be doing.
It's almost like Crackdown all over again. It's almost like Crackdown all over again, though. Crackdown. No. What I'm saying, the analog.
So they're going to release a bad game then? Is what you're saying?
No, like what I'm saying is, Crackdown was only getting crap because of its graphics. That's it. That was the only reason it was getting crap when it was revealed. When it was revealed, it was only getting shit for its graphics.
And then it released, and then it got shit for not being that much of an improvement over anything, to be honest.
Whatever, but it still felt great to play. And the thing that's getting lost with all look at Halo. What's actually getting shit on about Halo? The graphics. It's only the graphics.
Yeah, the gameplay.
Most people have said that the gameplay looked great, and it did. It looked amazing.
Yeah,
and it's like, it's a debate for another time.
It is.
No, I'm not going to say what I was about to say. It goes back to what we were talking about with the Game Awards.
Yeah.
It's shit that's what things have become.
I agree.
That graphics are taking precedence over gameplay. It's garbage. Because we play video games, we don't play movies. And I hate that graphics have taken. I hate that graphics are taking precedence over gameplay. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. Anyway,
question.
Maybe we do a whole episode about that.
5?
I don't know.
Oh, there'll be time to talk about Halo soon enough.
5. I'm talking about that greater discussion around graphics and gameplay.
Yeah.
what country do you think Microsoft sees as the most viable to expand their market share? South Korea seems to be doing pretty well for them with xCloud. Maybe we will see an acquisition to help out there. Monster Hunter is really popular in Asia worldwide. I'm assuming that both Microsoft and Sony see China as the big thing. No?
Yeah,
No?
but China, you have to do a bunch of rules. There's limits on video game time. I think places like South Korea, India, I think with xCloud is a big market for Microsoft, believe it or not.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, I guess so. I think Sony and Microsoft did both see China at first, though. They both pushed into China a few years back with PS4 and Xbox One, but I don't know if they got the penetration they were hoping for.
Yeah.
The old 1%. Last question. This is it. This is the last question. Do you think some of the Bethesda studios might revisit some older Microsoft IP once their game trilogies are finished? I would love Arcane to do a Shadowrun immersive sim.
Good choice.
Yeah. An awesome cyberpunk setting would be amazing for an arcade game.
Yeah.
Did I say arcade? Or did I say
arcade? I
arcade?
heard arcane, but I think you said arcade.
Yeah, Arcane Games. Thanks for the amazing podcast. I always look forward to it. Arcane, I think we said this back when the acquisition first happened, that they're the studio, I reckon, that is like a dark horse. Like, as far as a Microsoft first-party studio goes now. Like, Arcane with genuine big-budget resources and working without the fear of, our game has to sell X million copies and da-da-da-da-da. Because Arcane's games, on Game Pass, everyone is going to try them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they turn out to be like some of the highest downloaded games that Game Pass has.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
Like, it's funny, I watched the trailer. Oh, yeah. Fun fact. I had actually never watched the trailer for Deathloop before.
It looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was on the PS5 store and Deathloop has a tile there and it runs a video if you want it to. So I watched the trailer for Deathloop. And yeah, it looks... I don't know if I'm as hyped as everyone else. It looks okay. I'm sure it probably will be good. But then I'm like, I'll just wait and download it on Game Pass. I'll just give it a go on Game Pass in a year's time. Or whenever it is. Like, that, I think Arcane's games will actually have massive success on Game Pass.
Yeah. I think a lot of those studios are going to see some serious success.
Only because Arcane has made those games that people think to themselves, that looks interesting, but I don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
And they are the games that will do really well on Game Pass. Those games where there's something about them that just don't push people over the edge to want to fork out the money for them.
Yeah.
And I feel like Arcane's games have really, for better or worse, don't get me wrong, I'm not, like, I bought Dishonored Death of the Outsider and I reckon that's great. But I feel like their games are those games where there's just something about them that don't push people over the edge to actually want to fork out the money to buy them.
Yeah.
Which to me is like perfect Game Pass. Like, Game Pass will allow those games to really reach an audience, I think. But yeah, I guess we'll find out. They're a good studio.
Definitely.
Really good studio. That's it. That's all the questions.
Blimey, that was a 6-question marathon, Liam. Like, next time you are barred, one question only. All right?
Yeah, that was fun.
I'd argue you turned a 1 hour, 50-minute podcast to a 2.5 hour one. You cheeky
We've ended up
person.
hitting... Oh, we're just on 2 hours, aren't we?
No,
2 hours, 18.
2 hours, 18 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Okay. Well, it was good. It was a good one. I think we got through a lot. I think there's a couple of debate points there that might warrant some interesting threads on the XboxEra forums, particularly around gameplay versus narrative and graphics.
I'd actually like to do a dedicated podcast episode on that.
The big debate. Maybe we should start a new show like Nick's grinds your gears, like that Peter Griffin. You know what really grinds my gears, America? You.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having an episode where we virtually just talk about that. It's such a pet peeve of mine. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. Oh, X game has terrible graphics. Well, that's just a terrible game.
Yeah. Game's
What a terrible
bad.
game. It's a terrible game. Don't touch it. It's like, don't have that attitude. Don't have
Unfortunately,
that
that is the attitude of today.
Yeah, but there's a certain company that has caused that.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't want to say it, because I know the reaction it's going to get. But there is a very specific company that has caused that shit to prevail, and it pisses me off.
Never mind.
But anyway.
As always, we like to thank our audience, our subscribers, our followers, our community. You're all absolutely lovely, and you keep us going episode after episode. 40 episodes. Feels like a milestone.
Yeah, big 4-0.
Epic 4-0.
Yeah, it's because we do it every 2 weeks. It would have been 80 if we were weekly.
Nuts, isn't it? If we did
it would have been 80.
I know a lot of people want us to do it weekly. God, I'd love to, but we'd probably be a lot shorter. But then I know that we wouldn't be able to help ourselves, and it would still go on for 2 hours.
Probably.
But it is what it is. But on that note, we'll wrap things up. We'll draw them to a close. If you're new to us and you've stuck it all the way through, please give that video a thumbs up. Give us a sub on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Join the XboxEra forums, and even check out our Patreon, where you can help support us directly in everything we do. And until next time, thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Ciao for now.
See you, everybody.